Unscripted.
Welcome back to a Totally Unscripted podcast, where we critically analyze the most critical of critically acclaimed works in an unscripted, scripted manner. I'm one of your hosts, Bao.
And I'm Effie, seasonal host. Today we are discussing Philip K. Dick's science fiction novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, published in 1968, otherwise known as the book that made everyone question their appliances.
Or question human more accurately.
Fair. In this episode, we will be analyzing Phil Resch, the role of intimacy, and the meaning of the ending. We are action-packed today, so sit down with a cup of coffee and turn your brains on.
Turn your brains on.
Okay, let's start with a little background info. Do androids dream of electric sheep? Takes place after World War Terminus, which basically destroyed Earth through radioactive fallout. Most animals become extinct, and city underpopulated. Because of this lack of life, humans are encouraged to emigrate to Mars, disconnecting society as a whole.
Wow.
Rick Deckard, our favorite main character, is a bounty hunter whose job is to retire or kill rogue androids. These androids, known as Nexus 6 models, are designed to be completely indistinguishable from humans, except for the fact that androids lack empathy, the only aspect separating them from real humans. Crazy, right?
It's ironic because humans in this particular novel typically act less empathetically than the androids do.
Yup. To know if someone is a human or android, Rick and others will use what is known as a void contest. This test is basically a giant BuzzFeed quiz that assesses if someone reacts humanely to various scenarios. It's that contradiction between humans and androids that fuels the central conflict. Dick, our author, criticizes modern society's treatment of empathy as a performance instead of being genuine.
How do they do that, Effie?
I'm glad you asked, Bauchi. In order to establish one's empathy, this society uses real living animals. It's basically their version of a Porsche 911, but less insane.
The poor people in this universe have electric animals, and Rick is one of those peasants. He spent much of the novel spiraling over his electric sheep. So his solution is to be the catalyst and accelerate the events of this novel, to kill some android.
As an intro to some of the characters we'll discuss today, we got Rachel Rosen, an android owned by the Rosen Corporation that makes androids. Then there's John Isidore. He's deemed an outcast, or quote-unquote chickenhead, by society.
Aside from those primary characters, there are the androids that Deckard is tasked with retiring, such as Lubaloft and Prince Stratton. There's also another bounty hunter, who we'll discuss later, by the name of Phil Resch.
Actually, let's start there. It's pretty interesting how Dick uses Resch as a foil to Deckard. They're both bounty hunters, but their attitudes towards their professions are very different.
For those of our listeners who are already familiar with the novel, you know that we encounter Resch while he's working for a fake police faction that is actually run by android. It's pretty clear from the get-go that Resch is a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
While Deckard is beginning to feel empathy towards the androids he's retiring, Resch shows none at all. He's giving sociopath, and it makes our main character believe that he's an android too, even though he likes killing them.
So, Effie, I think that you're getting at here is that Resch is also meant to stand to contrast against the android too. Even if real people can lack that kind of empathy and still be human, why can't the android be considered human too?
Yes, exactly. Wow, it's almost like we scripted this ahead. Okay, that's enough of that. Anyways, throughout the novel, Deckard's internal monologue keeps coming back to Lupa Luft, an android opera singer and one of the first that he is tasked with retiring. He thinks about how an android can possess the ability to sing so well with such emotion.
Yeah, and then when he asked Resch to administer the void comp test on him, it revealed that he displayed empathy toward android, specifically Lubaloft and Rachel.
Oh God, Rachel. There is so much to be said about Rachel. I feel the most uncomfortable part of the novel is our dearly beloved Deckard falling in love with an android. And get this, somehow it works. This man is emotionally spiraling for basically the full novel.
Genuinely, even though our girl Rachel is an android, he developed a very real emotional attachment to her after they sleep together.
I thought androids weren't human, Bauchi.
Stop, I hate them.
If Deckard can love, actually, let's face it, if Deckard can feel intimacy towards Rachel, then the line between humans and androids become way blurrier. Get this, he even says he would marry her if she weren't an android. A little avoidant attachment, if you ask me.
I didn't. Anyway, through this depiction of Deckard's love, Dick used intimacy basically as a literary device to force both Deckard and the reader into empathizing with androids, which is exactly what you shouldn't do. But in the most sick and twisted way possible. He did a good job. The hotel scene feels really vulnerable, but in the way only human can get. Like you forget she artificial for a second.
And that feeling you get is intentional. A study published in Cognition and Emotion found that the process behind perceiving sex and emotion may be intertwined. Basically, emotional attachment and physical intimacy psychologically influences each other. And guess who had a bit of both that night at the hotel?
You're funny. So because Deckard has sex with Rachel, his perception of her become more emotionally charged.
Yup. He stopped seeing her as an android and more like an actual living, breathing human being. And it's extra sick and twisted because the novel is primarily from Deckard's perspective, and his thoughts influence you as a reader. Your AI girlfriend is actually real.
People already get emotionally attached to artificial intelligence now. An article from the Minnesota Law Review said millions of people turn to AI companions for conversation, romance, sexual intimacy, therapy, all of the above.
This is a little too freaky deaky for me.
And that's the point. If modern people can form emotional attachment to words on a screen, then obviously Deckard could emotionally connect with a screen if it were shaped like a woman.
Misogyny. Who said that? Anyway.
No, not anyway. That's an important point. The way that Dick sexualized Rachel and her, frankly, childlike body is kind of disgusting. And perhaps unnecessary. Do you think that tied to misogyny too?
Yeah, I mean, postmodernist feminism tried to establish women's role in the workplace and academia, but misogyny wasn't really focused on until later.
1 second. Our producer Atara just pulled this article up for us from the National Library of Medicine, which state the fourth wave feminism referred to a kind of feminism that began around 2012, which targets sexual harassment, campus sexual harassment, rape culture, workplace discrimination, body shaming, sexist imagery in the media, online misogyny, assault on public transport, and other type of harassment that is associated with the use of social media. It's also clearly established a divide between the postmodernist and fourth wave eras and their goals. Okay, now back to the book. So at this point in the novel, Deckard, and maybe the reader is feeling all these lovey-dovey emotions, and Rachel totally dropped a bomb on him. She revealed that she only slept with him to manipulate him into not killing the remaining Nexus 6.
Yeah, like what was the point of building all that complexity through intimacy and then the understanding of empathy if she's just gonna betray him? And after that, he goes on to ruthlessly kill the rest of the androids anyway. I just don't get it.
So then, what would this point? At the end of it all, Deckard realized that Rush was just coping with his work and wasn't actually a psycho, and then he became the psycho himself. I mean, he just go out and kills the remaining android without the slightest bit of empathy. All of that character growth is gone.
Exactly. Resh is no longer a foil to Deckard. They're one and the same. It's like Resh said, you sleep with the android and then you kill them. That's it. And we're just supposed to be okay with that? So unsatisfying.
I mean, I guess Dick does kind of try to reconcile with that the whole scene in the desert and the toad.
Sure, but it's in the last 30 pages. For our listeners, after killing the androids, Deckard has a little mental breakdown, runs away to some desert wasteland from the city. There he finds a toad, which is supposedly extinct.
And then the toad turned out to be electric.
Okay, down girl. Yes, it's electric, and I guess the whole point at the end of it all is that Deckard's wife decides to take it in anyways, because humans can show empathy towards androids. But honestly, it just feels so irrelevant and completely unhelpful.
Yeah, I wonder if it could have been better if Dick just wrote like 50 more pages and actually tried to re-establish that complexity from before. Overall, the Android Dream of Electric Sheep revolved primarily around the effects of dependency on robotic system. Throughout the novel, Philip K. Dick poses a question: is empathy purely natural?
So, to recap today's episode, we discussed how Phil Resch, our favorite crazy bounty hunter, is a foil to our nonchalant hunter Deckard. Resch's enjoyment of violence complicates the idea that humans are automatically more moral than androids, demonstrating how emotionally detached and into society, android-like, human can become.
We also analyzed intimacy in the novel, especially through Deckard's relationship with Rachel. Their interaction blurred the line between artificial and genuine emotion, which begs the question: does emotional connection depend solely on biology or simply perception?
You know, Baochi, that part connects to modern day AI. Today, people are already forming emotional attachments to AI chatbots. Have you heard of virtual girlfriends? People can create these chatbots on sites such as Replica or Character AI that simulate their favorite characters or their romantic partners. These AI bots are specifically designed to simulate companionship. In fact, a Harvard Business Review article identified therapy and companionship as the top two reasons people use generative AI tools, as it can quote unquote assist by offering virtual companionship, providing a listening ear, and generating empathetic responses.
Speaking of AI girlfriend,
So
I
your
got
virtual
dumped.
AI girlfriend isn't actually validating your feeling. She will program to appease you as a user.
Sounds toxic.
Indeed. And finally, we discussed the ending and how the cutest electric toad can symbolize the collapse of reality. Lemma. Ultimately, the novel argued the greatest danger of technology is actually human becoming increasingly more machine-like, that is, emotionally programmed, disconnected, and performative. Huh, I love that we ended on that note.
Me too. It's like we scripted this conclusion to the end on a thought-provoking summary.
Thank you for listening to a Totally Unscripted podcast. I hope our critics were absolutely critical in the discussion of Dick's novel, The Android Dream of Electric Sheep. If you would like to add anything or have opinion on your own, we would love for you to submit a letter to the editor via our website.
A special thanks to all the people working behind the scenes at Atarva's Totally Unscripted podcast. This show is produced and edited by Atarva Rao and written by Addison Lett and Ariel Nguyen. And on that note, Atarva out. Binning.